All right, welcome to a vocabulary video on angle relationships. We're going to remind you of some angle relationships we talked about already and some newer ones. Vertical angles are angles that are opposite each other. Okay, so angle A and angle D are vertical angles. Angle B and angle C are vertical angles. Their importance is the following. Angle A and angle D are congruent. That means that their measurements are equal. So if this was 30 degrees, then this is 30 degrees. Okay, same thing here. Angle B and angle C are congruent. That means that their measurements are equal. So from now on, whenever I say that two angles are congruent, I mean that their measurements are equal. Complementary angles are two angles that add to 90 degrees. So the measurement of angle A plus the measurement of angle B equals 90 degrees. And so that forms what we call a right angle. Supplementary angles are two angles that add to 180 degrees. So here we have angle A and angle B. And if we were to add these two together, we would get 180 degrees. That's what supplementary angles are. Linear pairs are two adjacent angles that form a straight line. A straight line has an angle of 180 degrees. So linear pairs are supplementary. So let's say I were to glue this side to this side, then I would form what we call a linear pair. But because these two are not like adjacent, they're not sharing the same ray or the same side, like these two angles are, they're sharing this side right here. I can't call these linear pairs, right? They have to form a straight line like this. So just please note, all linear pairs are supplementary, but not all supplementary angles are linear pairs. Parallel lines are lines in a plane that do not intersect or meet. In an image, when we draw parallel lines, a lot of times you'll see arrows. And if they're matching, then what we're saying is that line L is parallel to line M. When we write it in statements, then we can write it this way. Line L is parallel to line M. A transversal is a line that intersects two or more lines in a plane. So we have line L and line M, and here we have this line T. Line T is our transversal because it is intersecting lines L and M. And lines L and M do not have to be parallel in order for line T to be a transversal. But we are going to focus on a transversal cutting two parallel lines. All right, here's a picture of parallel lines that are cut by a transversal. Okay, so our transversal is line T. And we know that lines L and M are parallel because we have these matching arrows here that say they are. So when a transversal cuts two parallel lines, 8 angles are formed. And now we're going to discuss the vocabulary of these angle relationships. Corresponding angles are angles that are in the same relative position at each intersection. So here's our transversal, right? Here we have the first intersection and the second intersection. So corresponding angles are in the same place relative to these intersections. So for example, angle A and angle E are in the same relative position. They are in the top left, so they are corresponding. Angle B and angle F are in the same place. They're in the top right. They are corresponding. Angle C and angle G, angle D and angle H. And what's important about that is that corresponding angles are congruent. So angle A and angle E are congruent. Angle B and angle F are congruent. Angle C and angle G are congruent. And angle D and angle H are congruent. Alternate interior angles. So when we say alternate in this situation, we're talking about opposite sides of the transversal line. That means one angle is on the left side, the other angle is on the right side of the transversal. Interior means in between the two parallel lines. So angle C and angle F are alternate interior angles. One is on the left side, the other is on the right side, and they're both interior. Okay? And angle E and angle D are alternate interior angles. And the relationship is that alternate interior angles are congruent. So angle C and angle F are congruent. Angle D and angle E are congruent. Alternate exterior angles. We already talked about what we meant by alternate, and exterior means outside of the parallel lines. So angle A and angle H are alternate exterior angles. Angle B and angle G are alternate exterior angles. Okay? And the relationship is that alternate exterior angles are congruent. So angle A is congruent to angle H. And angle B is congruent to angle G. Consecutive interior angles or same side interior angles are supplementary. Okay? So they're on the same side of the transversal. So for example, angle C and angle E are consecutive interior angles. All right? The measurement of angle C plus the measurement of angle E equals 180 degrees. Similarly, angle D and angle F are consecutive interior angles, and when you add up their measurements, you will get 180 degrees. Consecutive exterior angles or same side exterior angles. So angle A and angle G are consecutive exterior angles. They are supplementary. So that means when you add up their measurements, you will get 180 degrees. Angle B and angle H are also supplementary because they're consecutive exterior angles. When you add up their measurements, you will also get 180 degrees. So now that we have gone through all the vocabulary words and the relationships of all of these angles, I'm going to come back to this image here, and I want you to think a little bit. Why are angles A, D, E, and H all labeled the same? And why angles B, C, F, and G all labeled the same? What is the relationship? Like, what would be the relationship between angles A and C? What's the relationship between angles A and D? Or A and B, right? So think about all the different combinations here and see if you can predict what the relationships are. You'll get more of this in the next video.